So this is the Gigabyte Aero 15 OLED. I've reviewed this laptop on the channel before, but this is the latest version, the one with the 11th gen H series processor from Intel and an RTX 3070. Now this video is sponsored by Gigabyte and Intel, and this is not a full review. This is more of an overview and kind of discussing how I've been using this laptop over the last month. The lockdown here in Canada is starting to be lifted slowly, and I'm looking for a travel laptop again. This one pretty much has everything I need, and I want to show you how I've been using it. The first thing is the ports, okay? I've been on vacation, I've been to a tech event, and I've forgotten dongles before. And it's really annoying because you gotta find someone who has one, or you gotta go out to a store to buy one to replace the one you forgot. But the ports on this are perfect. Like, you take the left-hand side, for example, you have an HDMI port, which is 2.1, which means you can hook up a 4K 120 Hertz display. You have a mini display port, which is even better because you can hook up a display with a higher refresh rate than 120 Hertz, a USB port, your audio jack, and an Ethernet jack. On the right-hand side, you have your power connector, you have a micro SD card slot, which is important. I use a Sony camera, which uses one, so being able to just stick it in your laptop is much easier. USB Type-C, Thunderbolt 4, and then you have 2 more USB ports. Now, portability is a huge factor for me. Like, when I travel, I want to travel as light as possible with the most powerful laptop, and this thing only weighs 4.4 pounds. Super crazy to think about considering how much performance this thing packs. The style of this laptop is a metal construction. It's black, it's pretty clean, and then you have an Aero logo at the top, which lights up when you're using the laptop. One of the crazy things about this thing is the fact that it has an OLED display. If you're a content creator like me, using an OLED display is great. The color gamut is unmatched by any IPS display, like 100% sRGB, 99% Adobe and P3. Like, this screen is color calibrated straight out of the factory, and it's even Pantone validated. You watch a movie on this, you just tear up in joy because the blacks look so perfect, and then you have that 400 nits of brightness doing such a great job of creating such an immersive experience. Now, I know this is not a 16:10 display, which is something I personally prefer, but in all fairness, there's not really any 16:10 OLED displays available. So one minor thing, with me doing a lot more conference calls, connecting with people for tech meetings and stuff, having a webcam is important. The only downfall is that it's at the back of the deck, but at least there is one, okay? When the bezels get this thin at top, some other manufacturers have decided to omit a webcam completely, and that's not the right move. I'd rather have one than not have one. The other thing is the keyboard. This is a very comfortable keyboard to type on. It took me a good 30 to 45 minutes to get used to it just because the entire keyboard deck has both the numpad and keyboard right beside each other, but these keys are very tactile, they have good travel distance, and after about 30 to 45 minutes, I got used to typing on this. Now, there is no Windows Hello using the facial camera, but there is a fingerprint scanner, and as long as it has one or the other for me, that's great, because logging in using biometrics is significantly faster than typing in a password. As you guys know, I obviously edit video, and having as much performance as possible is everything. And these new 11th gen Intel CPUs are absolutely bonkers. Like, this unit has an 11800H processor paired with an RTX 3070, which is 105 watts, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and of course that 15-inch beautiful OLED display. I mostly use Adobe Premiere Pro, and that's a very resource-intensive application. It just sucks the life out of any machine, and this thing was able to handle it perfectly. It doesn't matter if I was editing multicam footage using Sony's terrible codec, it was able to breeze through that footage without dropping a frame. Like, I have a 11900K desktop in the other room, and this thing obviously is not as fast as it shouldn't be, but it gets close, you know? There's obviously a gap between laptop and desktop, but I feel like every single year, it gets a tiny bit, I mean an ever so tiny bit closer, and you really see that with this laptop. Now, I'm not all about video, you know, like I know some of you watching this might want to know how it handles compiling code, and I did a Mozilla Firefox test for you, and it was able to compile Mozilla Firefox in just 21 minutes. Now look, this is not just a creator laptop. You can obviously game on this thing. I'm an avid gamer. I play a lot of Warzone. I play a lot of Overwatch. And this thing obviously handles those games without breaking a sweat. And I know some of you are saying, but Matt, it's a 60 hertz display. Well, here's the thing. You got a mini display port and a HDMI port on the side. Hook it up to a higher refresh display, and then you can take advantage of that high refresh rate. When I'm on the road, when I'm working, I would rather have a OLED display because it's just so much better to work with than having an IPS display that happens to have a higher refresh rate. Now, whenever you're looking at a laptop, you want to know how much you can upgrade in the future because it's important as it'll extend the life of your purchase. For example, this laptop right here can upgrade all the standard stuff. Right now I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, but usually I like to rock 64, and this can support it. There is 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, which is plenty of storage for me now, but if I ever want to, I can buy a second drive and place it right here. Battery life, this is 99 watt hours. This is the legal capacity that you can carry on a plane, which is always great to see. But if you're just doing general productivity, like you're browsing the net and you're writing documents and you're taking Zoom calls, I was able to push this to about 5 to 6 hours without any issues. In fact, if you decide to buy this laptop, I really think you should check out Gigabyte's Control Center. There's a lot of little things in there that you can access quickly. Like if you want to be super specific with fan noise, you can adjust the curves to whatever you want. If you want Gigabyte to basically decide how to use the laptop for you, you can leave their AI enabled. Whenever I load up Adobe Premiere Pro, creator mode gets turned on and CPU performance gets boosted up. So it just depends how you want to use this. You can customize it to whatever experience you want. So that wraps up my experience with the Gigabyte Aero 15 OLED. Hopefully that gave you kind of an insight on how I use these laptops and some of the features that I personally look for when I'm purchasing a new one. If you have any more questions about this laptop, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll place a link in the description in case you're interested in checking it out. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.